What's up, everybody? Hey, it's Justin. I have a very special review for you today. This is my only custom knife that I have left. I had a Medford, I guess I consider it a custom Praetorian tie that I built through Amy and Greg that I recently sold off. And yeah, this is the only one that's left. This is the Skike Knives Pocket Monster, and the only way to, I keep getting oil and stuff on this handle, so I have to excuse that. The only way to order one of these is to hit Pete up on Instagram, which I'll link his channel down below in the comments or in the description. Yeah, this is his. I'm not sure if he makes more than two models. I know this is the smaller one of the two that I'm aware of. He does very small runs of knives because he makes everything in his shop. I'm not sure where he's located, but yeah, this is a full custom knife. I mean, you can specify how the blade's ground, what the steel is. If you have the blade coated, you can specify the handle color, as in the scale color, the clip color, the screws, back spacer, everything, which is really, really cool. And then he also added these crosses to the handle of mine, which I had requested because I am a Christian and I thought it would be really cool. And yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. Blade steel on this is 3V, which, you know, is a tool steel. I don't think it has a mark on it. Yeah, as a tool steel, is very tough. It's not stainless, but it doesn't pick up rust super easily as long as you keep it oiled, which I keep this one pretty well oiled. But yeah, very tough, very hard to use steel. And I gave it the same score as I gave the Spyderco Tough, which had crew wear. So I gave it a 7 for blade steel. Looking at the clip, this is a clip that's special to Skike Knives. You can see his logo there. The Rogue Shark is another one of his knives. But yeah, this is a clip that he designs, manufactures, and uses on these pocket monsters. And you can see it's held in place by two giant torque screws, which I think is really cool. Not the most functional clip. I mean, the retention is extremely high. The tension on the clip is very high. Decent amount of area under the clip. It does have a little bit of trouble putting it into like the pocket of heavier pants or thicker shorts or whatever you may have. I have carried this knife a decent amount, so I do know that from experience. But I just think the clip is so cool on this knife. I mean, look at the flame work on those screws. Just looks really, really nice. And then it's just such a unique clip. I mean, yeah, it's kind of stubby. Not the most functional, but it's really nice how he kind of put this cutout in there for the lock bar cutout. Yeah, I just think it's really cool. So I gave this clip a score of a 7. Not the most functional clip. Works okay. Looks really cool. Looking at Loctite, this is a frame lock, titanium frame lock. I don't believe it does not have a steel lock bar insert, but you can see this thing is extremely thick. Yeah, so it's a frame lock flipper with a really tight D10. I think that's holding down the lock bar. There it goes. Yeah, that is something with this knife. If you're trying to flip it, but you put pressure on the lock bar, it's very difficult to flip. Otherwise, the D10's dialed in pretty well. Looking at materials, the handle itself is all titanium. As I said, this is anodized. You can get it in just about any color you want. I chose purple because that's my favorite. But yeah, this is all titanium. I believe the clip is steel as well as the back spacer, I think. And then you have the steel torque screws here and at the back. So, you know, nice materials overall. Very high end. So I gave the materials a score of a 9. The only reason I didn't give it a 10 is because it's just titanium. There's no carbon fiber or, you know, they call it mokutai stuff, you know, fancy stuff like that. But still really, really nice stuff. And this, I want to call it a peg. It's not a peg. Thumb stud matches the clip. You can see it has that nice finish on it. So Yeah, nice materials overall. Size, this guy's pretty big. Even though this is the Pocket Monster, I actually put my size comparison knives away because Lauren and I are going away for a weekend trip. But I'll compare it to this Pilot G10 or G2 pin here, which you guys are probably familiar with. So you can see it's a pretty good size knife. Maybe I'll start bringing in like a tape measure or something just to give you guys a little more of an objective measurement of size. But I tend to like to compare it to objects that I've seen and handled a lot in my life, and that just means more to me than like an overall measurement. So that's why I tend to do that. And then I have this jump drive here. You can see it compared to. So it's pretty big knife. Very heavy. I mean, you can see here the blade stock is extremely thick on this guy. The handle scales are extremely thick. Just, yeah, it's a big knife. The Rogue Shark is even bigger than this, and yeah, I don't know. This is pretty hefty in the pocket. I'm not sure about that other one, but I don't know what the weight is. Probably around 11 or 12 ounces. I mean, it's very, very thick. So, man, I do like that action a lot. Yeah, which, moving on to action, this does have a really nice action. I actually did give it a 10 out of 10. The blade is very heavy, so that definitely lends itself to a smoother action. You can see it flies open every time very easily, and then it falls shut very easily as well. Try to get that lower for you guys. So you can see here. So yeah, I think it's a 10 out of 10. If I was doing half scores, probably do like a 9.5, but very nice action. Very, very tight tolerancing. I've taken this knife apart maybe once or twice, and it is very, very tight. It's like a Chris Reeve knife. Everything fits together very, very snugly, but you know, it's great because when you take it apart and put it back together, you know that it's going to be the exact same knife after you put it back together as it was before you took it apart. So that's really nice. So I gave the action a 10 on this. The hardware, it only has 2 screws in the body. It has one at the back here and one at the pivot, and those are both T10s. So I gave the hardware a pretty easy 10. I mean, very, very nice, large enough. You're not going to strip out any bits or any screws. Very easy to take down and clean. Like I said, I've done that once or twice. So yeah, definitely a 10 for the hardware. Moving on to the price, this does vary with the options you select. I mean, if you go with a coated blade, if you start adding some like fancier materials like zircuti, stuff like that, you know, your price is going to go up. The purple anodization did add a little bit, and I think he added a little bit for the crosses. But this guy was $900, which, you know, it's a lot of money. Of course, that's not a small amount at all. But when you consider it's a custom knife, I mean, he literally sent me pictures as he was producing this, and you know, he included a nice pouch with it. He threw in a sticker and a shirt, just a lot of cool kind of goodies along with it. And he was a really, really great guy, really good to work with. Like I said, I'll link his Instagram in the description. But yeah, I gave it a 10 out of 10 for price because, you know, even though that is a lot of money, I mean, when you think about all the machining on this, and, you know, I'll talk about it more in the quality, but the fit and finish of this is excellent. The materials are excellent. I mean, just a really, really nice knife. So yeah, I think it's well worth that money. And, you know, Pete's a great guy to work with. So, and then finally looking at quality, again, 10 out of 10 on this. I mean, you can see the handle's really nicely machined. These crosses look really nice. This middle one is slightly uneven, but not too bad. I'm not going to dock it anything for that. But then the blade itself, it's actually a chisel ground blade. So you can see from the top. And then the bottom, you can see all the grind is on this side here. But yeah, so there's all the grind there, which is really well done. This is probably the sharpest knife out of the box that I've ever handled. was actually putting oil on the blade and cut my finger. I didn't even know it. But yeah, the quality on this is second to none in my opinion. You know, the clip is nicely machined. Really no sharp edges anywhere except for the glass breaker here. It's a little bit sharp, but not too bad. And then he also includes some extra, I think this runs on washers. I think it's washers. Let me see if I can see in there. I'm gonna guess it's washers. But he actually includes some extra ones back here around the back spacer, which is a really nice touch. Yeah, just a really, really nice knife. Really well put together. And yeah, I gave it a score of a 10 for quality. Looking at competition, I mean, you could compare this to any titanium handled, you know, frame lock flipper out there. You know, when you get into custom knives, it's really hard to draw comparisons because they're so one-off, they're so custom. And, you know, I could make, I don't know, maybe a Peter Rossetti knife with the same materials or similar materials, but it wouldn't look the same. It wouldn't be the same price. It just varies so much. So I don't really have a good competition comparison for this knife. As I said, once you get into the custom knives, it just kind of becomes a different realm in a way. But anyway, yeah, if you have some cash you want to drop on a custom, if you haven't gotten into the custom world yet and you're interested in doing that, definitely hit Pete up. Like I said, really great guy. I think he had this one done in around, I don't know, 2 months or so. It didn't take too long, but he was great about sending updates and all that stuff. I'm not a huge custom guy. I tend to prefer factory knives, manufactured knives. But anyway, yeah, this is the Skike Pocket Monster. And if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments. Thanks a lot for watching. Please like and subscribe if you haven't, and have a good rest of the day. We'll talk to you guys on the next one.